Hello, everyone. Welcome to our program. And I'm the host, Andy. And first, let us welcome our guest.
Hey guys, I'm Ivis.
Hello, I'm Trevor.
Hi, I'm Ken.
Hello, I'm Zoe.
Hello, I'm Asher.
And let us welcome them again. And I have heard about some interesting from the 20th National Congress. So our main topic today is about the 20s, before the 20s and after the 20s. And hey, Ivis, could you introduce some issue or some effect about the 20s?
Yeah, actually, I have a lot of interest in it. And I think before we mention about the 20s, we should know about the meaning of it first. And as we know, the China is a party list day, and CCP as the state leader of it is an organization by nearly the 100 million party members, and they will elect or choose nearly 20 party members to be the representative of National Congress of CCP. And the name of 20s, we all know about that. It's from the 20th Nation Congress of CCP. So the most important thing and the important meaning of it is from the election. They will election nearly 20 people to be the central committee, and the central committee will elect 25 people among of it to organization the political bureau, and they will decide 7 standing committees and also making a rank of it. The ranking one is familiar to us. It's a general secretary, 也就是总书记 we know about. So what's the change of it made? The 20 standing committee break a lot of rules, like unspoken or the law of the Chinese Communist Party, like Jiang Zemin's 七上八下, which means you will not get re-election after your age 68. Also break the rule of Deng Xiaoping that no more re-election than 2 terms, although it's being abolished by Xi Jinping in an early time. And we all know about that Xi Jinping was not choose his successor of the next general secretary. And it means about that maybe he won't be 3 term or more than 3 term. And the other fact thing is that the Communist Young League of China, 共青团, was being kicked out of the authority of Chinese Communist Party. Like Li Keqiang, Wang Yang, Hu Chunhua is replaced by Xi's colonies. Like Li Qiang is taking the post of ranking 2, also the Prime Minister of China, and he has never served as vice president before. And he also make a public grievance when he served as the Shanghai secretary. So in summary, Xi Jinping's centralization is more close to the Mao Zedong, and less lot of declaration of 20s, like to continue the zero COVID policy, and Xi Jinping also say he won't give up to use military force to unite Taiwan. Other like the 2027 will have a goal to the PLA established for 100 years, and Chinese modernization, state security, denounce of other countries' interpretation, and also the arrangement of military commission of CCP Central Committee could also show about the Xi's ambition to the world and especially to the Taiwan. And that's my opinion to the 26th. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your sharing. And we know that Xi Jinping made China as his kingdom, but his power can also influence the other places. Hey, Trevor, could you sharing some of your perspective about that?
Okay, thank you. On the day of the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, Hong Kong demonstrators were dragged into the grounds of the Chinese consulate and beaten by Chinese consulate personnel when they were protesting in front of the China Consulate General. Even the Chinese Consul General in Manchester, Zheng Xiyuan, also participated in the beating. The police in Manchester cannot enter because the Chinese consulate space belongs to Chinese territory. This kind of restriction of freedom of expression has happened in such a democratic and free place like the United Kingdom. And China has 89 consulates around the world. It is not the first time that China has abused diplomatic immunity. The consulate has already sheltered Chinese researchers accused of visa fraud. If a reasonable solution is not found, it will only allow Chinese force to infiltrate.
And thanks for your sharing. Right, China really made people scared about it and scared to revolve the government. But there are still some people who wanted to stand up for their rights. And Ken, I have heard about something happened on a bridge in Beijing called Sitong Bridge. And do you have something want to talk about?
Yes. The Sitong incident was what Mr. Peng Zaizhou did. And he risked his life to hang banners on the Sitong Bridge, such as 不要核酸要吃饭, 不要封城要自由, using his meager power to wake up more people who are sleeping in the lies of the CCP. And after the incident exposure, it does influence the teenagers in China and cause a white paper movement. However, the teenagers didn't choose to ignore the issue. Even they may get into jail or be disappeared, which China used to do to the citizen. They tried to fight against the China government, not yielding to injustice. I think this is what the teenagers' spirit. And as for my opinion, I totally agree with their spirit and the things they do to China, trying to snatch the democracy back to all China people, making the country better. I was very moved after seeing it. I hope that one day I can really see China reborn in freedom. That's it.
Okay. Thanks for your sharing. And after the Sitong Bridge, the 20th Congress has started. And most of the policy they made were as are expected, but one of it was come true, and one of it come as a surprise. That is the zero COVID policy. And this is also the only one policy that Chinese people care about because it really ruined their lives, and many people did make some movement after the 20s. Okay, and such as the Foxconn, and like Zoe, do you have something want to talk about?
Okay, so at the 20th National Congress, Xi Jinping emphasized that the dynamic zero policy would not be relaxed. However, there have been countless riots around China due to the epidemic prevention policy, among which I was most impressed by the Foxconn riot. In October, many workers fled the factory due to the concerns about the epidemic and the lockdown, forming a wave of returning to their hometowns on foot. Recently, videos of Foxconn workers confronting medical staff and police were suddenly released, largely due to the dissatisfaction with the government's lockdown policy and unfair factory subsidies. In just 1 month, the Foxconn riot has evolved from a trek to their hometown to a violent protest, and has even been labeled by Chinese netizens as the largest protest since the Tiananmen Square incident. In this protest, although some people managed to escape during this protest, many people are still trapped in the rush of riots.
Okay, thanks for your sharing too. But not only the workers, but also the students did something special during the quarantine. And I heard something in the Chinese university. And Asher, do you have something want to talk about?
Yeah, as mentioned previously, Xi Jinping decided to continue to implement dynamic learning in 20th National Congress. However, the long-term learning policy has caused the people to be physically and mentally exhausted. Driving activities such as raising paper dogs and crawling on the ground groups. I'm happy and also sad to see the results. It is impossible for people to stay in a room all the time. Otherwise, you will suffer from depression. The paper dog, in my opinion, is a good way to relieve stresses, and the materials are also very easy to obtain. However, the cloning group was later disbanded by the CCP. I think the CCP is really pacific. It is afraid the people's gathering. At the same time, I also feel sorry for the Chinese people inside the world. They live without any freedom.
Oh, that sounds so terrible. But recently, China happened a disaster in Xinjiang, and the crime is the zero COVID policy. And Trevor, do you know something about it?
Okay, on November 24th, a fire broke out in Xinjiang. Due to excessive epidemic prevention and the doors were sealed, many people were unable to escape and caused many casualties. However, in the official announcements of China, it was said that the people lacks of self-rescue ability caused so many casualties. And this made people across China to start spontaneous demonstration and protests. Although this demonstration didn't have tens of thousands of people standing on the same street under China's control and information blockade. However, from school to street corners, some people held up blank papers in order to oppose the zero-COVID policy, calling for the demands of the people. One of the slogans is Xi Jinping steps down, the Communist Party steps down. Scholars from all walks of life believe that this slogan is very likely to be a turning point for the regime. After China announced the unblocking of some regions, it was interpreted as a concession to the white paper movement. It is believed that this small concession has planted the seed, but at the same time, the Chinese government will also block more information, making it more difficult to gather demonstrations and protests.
Yeah, in the white paper movement, also called A4 Revolution, the students of Tsinghua University in Beijing cited the Friedman equation. Most people know that it comes from the homonym Freeman, but in fact, it may have a more profound meaning. When Einstein's general theory of relativity describes the model of universe, assuming that the size of the universe is fixed. A limiting constant is added to the equation describing the universe. But this is not totally true. Soviet cosmologist Friedman confirmed that the universe is constantly expanding. So the limiting constant in the equation was taken away. It has become the Friedman equation that is now held high by the Tsinghua students. Obviously, the limiting constant represented CCP's governing. After understanding the history behind it, I really have to admire the high-level resistance of Beijing Tsinghua students.
Okay, so as we see, the movement has some work. Some big city has cancelled the lockdown, but will the movement or called the revolution really change China? People did lots of things during these days. They have protests and be repressed through many years, and some of them still not afraid about the government and still fight for their human rights, making more and more people to participate the movement. But I don't think it will work. Xi Jinping has all the powers of the China and no one can control him. He can do anything he wants, but the good thing is Chinese people finally made their first step to become a democratic country. Maybe after many years, when our generation grow bigger and those people can change this country, make their lives become greater and greater, and no more worry about their rights and their safety. And thanks for everyone. I hope you enjoy our program and see you guys next time.